Hello, everybody. How you do? Oh, here we go. My mic. Oh no. Hold on. 1 second. Refresh. Refresh the mic. There we go. Oh my goodness gracious. Fixed it. Hi, everyone. How are you doing tonight? Happy Wednesday. Forgive me. I know we were supposed to go back to Hatofu tonight. Um, but I kind of like really well, number one, I'm like tired. I'm like more tired than usual for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. And I mean, they're both visual novels, but for some reason, I felt like Hot Tofu was more tiring to try and voice. Um, so I was like, why don't we try to wrap up the fourth case tonight? And I was torn between that and Genshin, but I was like, we're so close to wrapping up this case. Why don't we just do that first, and then we can continue New Violette's story? And go back to finishing the Holiday Star DLC. But how are you all doing tonight? I hope everyone is good. I woke up today. I was, again, was super tired, but took care of some work emails, finishing up my listings to email lawyer, and I was watching the little wholesome snack from Wholesome Games ahead of the Game Awards, and they showed off some really hecking good games that are going to be coming out like soon-ish. Not, some of them don't have a release date yet, but oh, what were some of the standouts? There was one that kind of looked like almost like retro inspired anime. It starts with a V, but I can't remember it. But there was Duck Detective, which I have to tell Jen about, because I saw that and immediately thought of Gravity Falls, too. I thought of that Duck Detective. So I was like, oh my gosh, we are so playing that at some point, because it's Bird and Detective, so we're gonna do that at some point. I know Memento was another one, because it looks like a cute unpacking kind of game. I still have to play unpacking in general. But that looked really cute. I'm trying to think of like what else. There was the pocket bug collecting game where you raise bugs and then release them. Oh, that looks really cute. There's the Baladins, because it's just D&D, honestly, with the art style and everything. I really loved that. Yeah, there was actually a lot more than what I was expecting, in that little showcase. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure if I remember anything else. Oh, Snacko, I think, got a release date. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that got a release date. Oh my goodness, what else? My brain. My brain is trying so hard to think, was there anything else that I'm like, that's just slipping my mind currently? Not off the top of my head, no, but yes, I think that was all the ones I'm trying to remember. And I think Sticky Business got DLC, I think, which I also need to play at some point, but Ilya told me it's super good. So definitely check out that little showcase if you guys are looking for like some cozy, wholesome games, for sure. We are going to do the thing, as Sarah puts it, and we're gonna jump right back in and see if we can finish this case. Fingers crossed. I am a little sleepy. I'm a little EBs and needs to sleepies, but I think we should at least be able to get through it, because I don't think there's we got a good chunk of this done last night. I have considered the defense counsel's request for a further summation examination of the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, You will now proceed with your second summation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman. We are, my lord. Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it? Dearie me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit. Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tidy bit of trouble. Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes. Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all the members of the jury this time around, it seems. With one notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness's testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene, and moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way. That means, I'm afraid, that during this summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts. But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman, and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. And there I was, thinking this might be hard. But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends. No pressure then. That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, counsel? Oh, yes, my lord. All right, Ryunosuke. Focus your mind. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say, Mrs. Garadib. We have a book that disappeared from the Garadib's house on the evening of the incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand. There must be a way to link the 2. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes. Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garadib and how she reacts, even to things other people say. The sneezes, right? I don't know. I feel like a fire would give you the cough, not the sneeze. The accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. Some novel alternative. Just going over what they said one more time. Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed.
Hold it!
But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been. How can you be so sure? The prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see? But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you? It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it. I mean, it's not an impossibility. Like, normally you would think somebody wouldn't open it, but it's not an impossibility that the window couldn't have been open. Like, there's a difference. Then what's the point in even having windows, huh? Counsel, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering. Oh, sorry. Somehow, I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't going to budge otherwise. I'm definitely pressing her. But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not? With flames of love, I'll have you know... Yeah, flames of love? I would recall in that moment you very much were not in love with your husband. There's really no such thing as loving incendiary bomb. Well, he brought it upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love, but he didn't betray you. You assumed. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree? Oh, well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Mrs. Garridib. Never you mind that. The point is, we were just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. Poor juror number 5 is gonna have a sore arm tomorrow, and I won't have any more of these suggestions that it wasn't that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime. Alright, well, we'll see about that. What about juror number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Mrs. Garridib's relentless onslaughts. It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is. I don't know, that seems suspicious. I'm pressing him. Hold it! You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? Well, didn't we already get that exact dialogue? Well, him and me both then, like I said before. What? I told you already. I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning. What? You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe you me. Another shining example of marital bliss, then. Situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember. Sorry? Was too frightening. That's the thing. I must have blocked it out. Helpful. I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into the Thames by his scarf. Don't even go there, Miss Susato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Do I have anything to jog his memory with? Armband, local map, second handbook report, case file, the crime scene photograph. Photograph number 2 and the 4th book. Aside from the burn, was there anything else about this? And then we have the second photograph. Oh, look at that. You can zoom in. So I'm wondering if there's something important that I'm not gonna see. Unless I'm like hovering over it. Alright, I'll have to come back to this. That's interesting. Come to think of it, we had a fire a while ago. Hold it! Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case? Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad. Could you tell us more about that fire? It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top. It did. How did you fit 75 candles? What a sight to behold it was. You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship? Devil. Hi, Shad. No, I'm sorry. Originally, we weren't supposed to play this tonight, but then I was, like, way too tired for, like, a tofu boyfriend. So I decided to go back to try to finish up this case tonight. Oh my goodness. Oh no, we just started. We're still pressing the jury. We just started. Of course not. It was an angel cake to celebrate my birthday, obviously. It seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo. Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles were flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke. Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. But how did you catch a cold from a fire? What a fiasco it was! The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it. You're telling me they didn't? Yeah, he just told us right there. So you tell me Mr. and Mrs. Garrett didn't open the windows to let the smoke out? The windows. The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in the hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along. But something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. Okami will jump ahead to all case 10 and 9 and you'll miss the entire ending. Nah, I'm not. I can't. Oh my gosh, I don't have time for that in one night. We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it. Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, but even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary, I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation. Yeah. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just a connection that might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike. So I'm wondering... That's the spirit. So it's definitely going to be, go back to juror number 6. I am pitting you with either, you or you. Like, if there was a fire, that's how the window would be open.
Objection.
These two juror statements clearly contradict one another. Okay, no, that's not it. Oops. Okay, so maybe it's 6 and 4, I'm assuming? Because I thought, like, we could contradict the whole, oh, heck. Did I hear what news? Oh, no, I missed something? See what, sir? Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? Oh, no, wait, I think it is right. It seems, despite being a Londoner, he opened his windows in the middle of winter. Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... it's clicking for you now. Oh! Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garrideb household, and Mr. Garrideb had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke. Oh, my hat! Oh, she reacted to that. Therefore, to clear the smoke, either Mr. Garrideb or his wife almost certainly opened the window. That, you cannot deny, would be in no way out of the ordinary. No, I suppose it wouldn't. Man, she's really pouring that tea again. When you get to my age, you learn a thing or two, you know, and I can tell you, you'd have to be a prize idiot not to open the window if there was a fire, eh? Yes, of course. I think I need to reconsider my statement. Yes, please do. That's a step in the right direction. I think. Oh, Sora's out on February 16th? Nice. Nice. My boy, my son. So the window could have opened when the woman was throwing books. I mean, it's a definite possibility. All right. Really, I almost dropped. Did I just drop a joy? No, I just dropped it. I didn't mean to do that. I dropped a Joy-Con. Hold on. I dropped my Joy-Con. That was, like, not me. Oh well. At the point when the victim was attacked on Briar Road, we know there was a small house fire in the Garrideb household on the opposite side of the street. Well, yes, it certainly seems that way. And on account of the smoke, I imagine they would have had the windows wide open in spite of the cold. There we go. Is 90% of the amiibo base filled with shoes? I mean, maybe not 90, maybe like 89. Oh my god, maybe like 89%. Oh, excuse me. So tired. Right there, you ma'am, with your tea. You are going a little ham on that tea. You are drinking a lot of tea. You're gonna need to use the bathroom.
Excuse me.
Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garrideb. Oh, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am? It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now. What is it? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window? What? I beg your pardon. What are you insinuating? The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. And what if we did? Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy, since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering. Even though your house was on fire? Priorities. Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do so otherwise, ma'am. I think you need to see a therapist about your anger issues. Of course, I should have realized there's healthier ways to deal with it than throwing books at your husband. That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garrideb's formal statement. I mean, I would chug tea if it wasn't for the fact my tea bags, like, are not expensive, but, like, I can't just go to the store and get them. I have to order them online, and I'm like, then it gets expensive if I'm chugging the tea. If I'm chugging, like, a whole bag a day. The window was open at the time I'd clean forgotten, but it's true. You're gonna explode your bladder. I mean, for real, unless she's got, like, a cast iron bladder. For sure. Okay, so, I'm going to keep pressing her, because I need clarification. The 4th book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garrideb told us he had been reading. Well, I really couldn't say. On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? I did. Also, how's she keeping that tea warm in the middle of court? I didn't know it was an actual book, actually. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right. Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset? I mean, I know, you're telling me. I just started Wings of Fire book 14. I don't have it physically yet, but I am listening to the audiobook. I am still going through the Dragon World, Guide to the Dragon World. I'm still going through The Woman in Me. I'm still going through hecking, Naya and the Fox Dragon. I have a whole story graph, account that kind of lists, like, everything I'm reading and everything that I've read. But, like, man, I just have, like, a pile, and that's not even all the books. There's a whole bunch of books I just haven't gone to. There's a whole bunch of Disney Twisted Tales I haven't gone to yet. My book backlog is atrocious. Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on. As well, you know. I really don't... I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it. You. What do you mean, oh boy, huh?
Excuse me.
You've been, reading the young adult fiction that means throwing out books that aren't circulating at where... Oh, okay. And it's so hard because half the books I just want to sit there and read, not throw out. Well, silly question. Are you not allowed to take them home with you? What is it, juror number 5? I mean, if they're just, like, throwing them out, I mean. You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I'd blocked out. It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back. Who are you calling a granny, you cheeky little devil? I'm Mrs. Garrett, or the maid, I'll have you know. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time. I just assumed it's because he has big, beefy arms. It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. I put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out. Oh dear, what a disaster. You haven't heard the half of it, boy. Oh? The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Man, what is with all these wives and just... Y'all are like... please be nicer to your husbands? Please just talk it out. Thank you. It's okay to be angry, but, like, please don't throw sharp objects and blunt objects at them. Thank you. Stuck it to the wall next to me, it did, about an inch deep. No words, just terror. I could smell it then, you know. That god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it? I'll never use the word lightly again. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't. That sounds like a trip to the ER for someone. It's not healthy. Nah, don't do it. Please don't. Try some coloring therapy. I like coloring therapy. Some knitting. I don't know what everyone does for self-care at home, but man, I read journaling. Just something to put your energy into. Mr. Naruhodo, you must think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined. No, I wasn't thinking that. Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like. Susato. That's even worse. What? Attack? Who are you going to attack? Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think. Alright. we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later, if I dare. So technically you can take them home, but we actually sell them at the book sales, so you're bypassing potential money. Oh, see, I didn't realize that you were selling them. I thought you guys were just, like, tossing them out. But I would be allowed to just take them, but also I don't have room for 400, but that is very valid. We also need more bookcases, to be fair, because all our shelves, I mean, we did make room. We moved all the D&D books to, like, the built-in case that's in the walls of our house in the living room, but, like, so we made room on the one bookshelf. But man, I know that feeling, not having enough room for books is such a... It's books and figures and games. It's like our poor shelves. Oh my god. To be honest, half the ones you've been getting distracted flipping through are romance novels, and I'm not sure I want to own them. Just read them once. Also fair. Also fair if they're not your cup of tea. Now I got Toxic stuck in my head, thank you. Now I got Britney Spears in my ear, thank you very much. Oh god, hold on, I need a sip. Okay. A woman in a rage will hurl. Okay, so I'm gonna press that.
Hold it!
Your wife really threw a kitchen knife at you? That's right, she was chopping meat with it. Had a tidy edge on it, believe me. Still, it's all memories, isn't it? It started with that smile she threw at me when we were courting. And since then, the list of things she's thrown at me has grown along with our relationship. There was a cup, then a glass, then a pot, and these are getting worse and worse. A kettle, a chair, a wardrobe. How did she lift a whole wardrobe? A cooker, a bathtub. How do you lift it? Forget the wardrobe. How do you lift the bathtub? Isn't that ceramic? Your wife must be even beefier than you. Things come to a head last week when she threw me right into the Thames. Still, she's not so bad when she's calmed down. She's a little sweetheart, really. You sure? I am so happy for you. If you want to know what I think this whole idea of ladies first that we're so obsessed with in this country was thought up by some clever lads who'd been tossed in the Thames a few too many times by their wives. That's a very interesting theory. What a terrible thought. On the face of it, this juror's statement just sounds like a really extreme anecdote. But I think it might turn out to be an extremely powerful weapon. A weapon I might be able to use to make the jurors accept an alternative explanation here. You love reading, but I don't reread books unless I really love them. Yes, no, I'm the same way. Because you only have like a finite amount of time, you know? So you can only go back and reread a book so many times. I otherwise versus reading a book that you just haven't gone to yet. Oh no, I totally get that, 1000%. I do want to eventually reread through all of Wings of Fire eventually. Probably maybe before 2E gets to Arc 4, I might go and reread it. I could reread Legends Darkstalker like 50 times, honestly. But there's just so many books that are just so really good, and others I just want to get to. Oh, and then yes, and then fanfics. Tylenos is absolutely right, and fanfics, absolutely. You know how many fanfics I go back and reread? I am majorly guilty of that. And then, you know, you get the notification a new chapter is up, and then all of a sudden it's just like, stop what you're doing. Oh my gosh. That's it, Rianosuke, throw stuff at the jury. No, do not throw stuff at the jury. We want them to side with us. That is not how that works. Hello, homecoming hero. How are you, friend? I know, this entire soundtrack slaps. It's so good. I love when the violin kicks in, right? It's so good. It kind of makes me think of Lindsay Sterling. I'm like, just shred on that violin. Working in a library makes you perpetually aware how much I want to read, and I just don't have the time. Aw, I mean, same, Shad. I mean, between work and then, you know, I do, you know, but aside from, you know, hobbies, I got the video games, I got perler art, I got my color therapy, I got my books. It's so much to try, you know, and then house chores. It's so much to juggle everything. Oh gosh, it's so hard. Ah, it's very nice to see you too, Flynn. Thank you. So nice to see you too. I hope everything's been treating you well. We are currently in the middle of case 4 right now, so we are trying to prove the ghost face is in this case. Winter house fires are dire. You have to open the windows to clear the smoke. That's when the chill gets to you. I don't think we've pressed that yet.
Hold it!
Did you change your statement from before? Well, yes, it was one of my most memorable birthdays, you see. I couldn't let it go unremembered. I'm sure the defendant will be delighted that you're using his trial to explore your past. What I'm really guilty of rereading, though, graphic novels, just purely for the art. Some of my favorites, The Last Unicorn graphic novel. Like, I love the book, but the graphic novel art is so gorgeous. I love it. Like, I'm just throwing some of my favorites off the top of my head with Mouse Guard, T-Dragon Society, gosh, it's just graphic novels. You have to reread them because the art is just so dang good. They got a couple based on Disney rides. They have the Haunted Mansion, they have the Tiki Room, they got a whole Figment series. It's so good. Oh gosh, graphic novels are just so pretty to look at. I have such a graphic novel addiction. Oh my gosh. You never guessed the book I probably read the most times in my life. Could I guess and say that it's Watership Down? Excuse me, his name is Mac tonight. I'm so sorry, I forgot his official canonical name was the Moon from McDonald's. Though it's been quite a while since I last read it. That's probably my most read book. Oh, I love Watership Down. In terms of, not a series, but in terms of a singular story, that is still my favorite. In terms of series, absolutely Wings of Fire. I just become completely obsessed. But if it's just a single story, oh, absolutely Watership Down. Hazel, my beloved, Fiber. Oh, Dandelion. I just start naming all the buns. Oh, Usagi, speaking of buns, Usagi Shima got an update today. There was a beach update. So if you have that game downloaded on mobile, your buns can now relax in like a whole beach area. It's so good. I know it really could is the thing. It's such a shame that it never got one, but it's so, I love Watership Down so much. Life has been crazy, busy, but good. Have all your projects and working on Christmas ideas and such. Even got some review codes for indie games, which is my dream to work with indie devs. Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. Right? Indie devs are honestly the best to work with. Like, I start gushing when an indie dev reaches out to me. Granted, it's only happened, I think Chicory might have been the only occasion, but when an indie dev reaches out to you and it's just like, hey, you know, we really like your content, would you like consider checking out the game? And I'm like, oh my gosh, absolute. That's why I love doing I love showcasing wholesome demos from wholesome games and cozy games, because I hopefully, you know, it's my hope that the games kind of get more of a reach. I know I don't have I'm not huge. I don't have a ton of reach, but I kind of hope that people, like just a couple of people, you know, take notice, and then it just helps spreads the word, you know? Indie games are my favorite too. Absolutely. I love indie games so much. Indie and horror. Those are like my two go-tos, I would say. Did you try that Fossil Peak game? I haven't yet. I want to. I haven't yet. I also still need to play Paleo Pines. I haven't been able to pick it up, but I also need to pick that up. There was a whole video I was watching on YouTube about like the top 10, I think, dinosaur games coming out like next year that I was in the middle of. I didn't finish it yet, but I also kind of want to get to Fossil Fighters Champions. Probably when we go back to St. Jude Play Live. I'm thinking in 2024 we'll probably get to it then. And then we're gonna have Sid Journey coming out, which I also am really excited for. Bear and Breakfast is a game that fits. I know, I've heard of Bear and Breakfast. It's in the Wholesome Games bundle right now on Humble. That has been on my radar for so hecking long, and I know I especially want to try it and support them because I think it was one of the developers announced, you know, they were supposed to have an expansion, but that's on hold because they were unfortunately diagnosed with like stage 4 breast cancer and they're undergoing treatment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I really want to get this game and support them so bad. I can't get it right now, but Bear and Breakfast was definitely a game I was heavily considering streaming at some point. It just looks so good. I know they were showcasing that bundle during the Wholesome Snack, do I call it a direct showcase? That's what I want to call it, showcase today. But it looks so good. I'm sure the defendant will be delighted that you're using his trial to explore your past. How is that memory related to this case exactly? I'm sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up. I'm afraid. Never mind, he's as deaf as a post. When he wants to be. But, you know, like when you have a parent that is like, can hear you whispering from like, you know, down the stairs, but then you're watching your TV at like a, I don't know, a 0.3 or what, and they're like, it's so, and they're screaming how loud it is. But actually, it's called selective hearing. But actually, this old man's anecdote might just provide the alternative explanation I need to make my point to some of the other jurors. No worries, Shad. Enjoyed the lurksies. We used unlit candles on my birthday last year. It's safer that way. So the window was open when the Garadips were arguing that day? Yes, Mrs. Garadip has finally admitted to it, which is a very significant victory for the defense. I feel like the fog's starting to clear and an alternative explanation to this case is starting to show itself. Okay. So, I'm wondering, going over everything, the window could have been open with storing books, it's a definite possibility. Yes, the window was open at the time, I'd forgotten. A woman in rage will hurl anything at you. Winter house, and then it's back to that, okay. I did not press 2. So, I should press you. I don't see how pressing number 1's gonna do anything, but I'm gonna press 2.
Hold it!
So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean? Oh my! Such delight on your face, but I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I am a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman. That's great. If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say? And not at all extreme. As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite 1 or 2 minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say? Overwhelmingly. But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know. So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you'd come up with one. I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could. Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady. Right, I'm glad you admitted rational there. So, you brought up about if there was a novel alternative how the victim was stabbed. Wait a minute. You mentioned throwing sharp objects. Oh. Did she throw a knife out the window and did it hit Olive Green? Oh, hold the phone. I need to consider this.
Objection.
Those two statements clearly have deeply significant connection. Good grief. You mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once. Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such new alternative? Oh my, whatever do you mean? An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back. What are you talking about? We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garridib's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garridib household to the street below. What's this now? After all, Mrs. Garridib could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4? What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole? I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. Now listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What is it? I think the victim clearly posted a hot take on ye old Twitter. What's your ye old Twitter hot takes, chat? Mine is that Skyward Sword is severely underrated. I don't know, is that a hot take? I don't know. I'm really taking a gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't had any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Hot take. Diddy Kong Racing was better than Mario Kart 64. Indoor bathrooms are better than not. Man, what the heck? I can't come up with any hot takes. Dang, I am bad at this. Darn, I'm trying. I'm really trying. My brain just can't do it. Ooh, excuse me. All right, Mr. Foreman. I'll try to explain the defense's theory. Oh, I remember the only hot take I posted. It was like, pet Twitter, what's your hot take? And I was like, please don't let your prey pets near your not prey pets. Like, don't let your rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, etc. interact with your dogs, your cats. Same goes with birds. Don't do it. It doesn't matter how sweet you think your dog or your cat is, because all it takes is one moment as you look away, unfortunately. And I'm like, thankfully nobody yelled at me for that hot take. I said, how is that even a hot take? But I'm like, thankfully nobody yelled at me for that. But I was like, I'm only thinking of the animals. It's about education. Please don't do it. Just keep everybody safe. Also because, like, I know at least with cats, there's so much bacteria in their saliva that could actually be deadly. I know to birds, 1000%. Oh gosh. One short moment in America's Funniest Home Video becomes a unfortunately, I've seen way too much doing like birdism work on like bird Facebook. I've seen like too many places that have posted like accidents that ended up in euthanasia and stuff, and I'm like, please don't. It doesn't matter how buddy-buddy you think they are. At the end of the day, one's a prey animal, one is not. An instinct can just kick in at any moment. And I'm like, I'm like, I'm never about like shaming at all. You should never shame a person. But like, just be gentle and educate them. just so nothing ends in heartbreak. And I'm like, man, that was the only time I posted any kind of like Patrick Star chained up Twitter hot take, because I was like, I don't know, that's all I got. Maybe I'm just really boring. Oh gosh. I have a friend with 2 cats, and even the same species can hate each other when it comes to spots on the bed. Exactly. Well, the thing is, each animal has a different personality, you know? Some cats love being around other cats. Some are like, it's like people. They can be really extroverted or really introverted. It really depends on like the cat. It depends on the personality, their upbringing, from litterhood. It all depends. All right, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. A hot take would be to hate Herlock, which some people do. I don't think that'd be a hot take. I can understand why people wouldn't like him. I personally need to see more of his character development before I jump to any conclusions, because man, if Genshin Impact has taught me anything, never jump to conclusions with the character before they finish their development. Because I could hate them at first, and then later down the line, I would die for them. The other object that found its way, to the Garrative household that was found at the scene of the crime. Well, then it has to be the knife, because tossed out the window.
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Garrative. What now? I must apologize in advance for this, but I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before? Herlock is very much a case of wait and you will understand. That kind of happened to me with DeBest, too. That happened with me in his case, because then we got to the end of investigations and I was like, oh my gosh, you poor sweet bean. I was like, this explains so much. So I can't say until I know for sure. And I mean, obviously Ace Attorney's really good at that too. Good Lord, Counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged into the victim's back, man. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garrative were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrative was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. You can't seriously believe that. The book was found in the victim's grasp. Are you saying that it flew out of the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Even my missus hasn't got an aim like that. Yes, I admit. There are many details we don't yet understand. But that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end. Not right now. Oh my. Mrs. Garrative, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not? And dead. Or unconscious and breathing. My lord, I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all. Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman, he's the one that surprised me. I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. I don't know, I think she did it on accident. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either. All together now, ladies and gents. Why is the old man not? Why is juror number 6 not convinced? Is it just because he didn't hear anything? We did it. Congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo! So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue. Now then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed? This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. Oh, hello, Zeno. How are you, friend? No, my eyes are open. My eyes are open, but I will say I am very tired. I will fully admit. But what follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Oh, he's wasted several good bottles of wine. It's a lot worse than just one. Credible. Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond. But let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? Permission to use PG-13 language is allowed. Although, you know, I drop the occasional F-bomb, so it's fine. It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garadip household, where's he going with this, runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Oh, are we saying foul as though as in chicken? Oh, hey, I will take I will take all the birdie talk in this chat. I just realized how you spelled foul. Which means from the distance from the Garadip's house to the scene is some, yes, 15 yards. Let me see. 15 yards. Oh no, you upset Nightbutt. That's around 14 meters. 14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. And, as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, you can totally replace foul language with honks, or as my favorite word, the bees. As back in the day of Fatal Frame, the bees. The 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Okay, well, here's the thing. He's not... I hate to say it, he's not wrong. Like, that's just some coinky-dink that she managed to cross the street at the same time as their argument was going on, at the exact same time that Mrs. Garadib would have thrown the knife out the window to hit her exactly as she was moving. I know, but what else could it have been? There's nothing I can say to that. That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice. Miss Susato, Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? She feels personally attacked by that statement. That's like calling her favorite book series rubbish. Maybe let's pick our battles here? My lord, might I be allowed to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead. The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garridib, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination. Saints alive! A cross-examination of a juror? No, she's involved in this. Order! Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
And once again, probably hit somebody. And unnecessary. Lord Van Zeeks! There are already witnesses in the... Ow! Clearly it hit me again. Man, I think he's starting to aim for me on purpose. There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. And we must assume they would be able to testify accordingly. What say you, witness? Yes, sir. Constable Rolly Beat, reporting for duty, sir. Well, good morning, officer. Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. How are you alive? The human body can't... I'm about to Google something, hold on. No. This is the most unbelievable part of this entire not the knife. How long can a person survive without sleep? Okay, back in 1963, 17-year-old Randy Gardner decided to see how long he could go without sleep as part of a science fair project. Overachiever that he was, he ended up setting a world record. He made it to 11 days and 25 minutes without sleep. Dang, that's a long time. So yeah, literally the answer should be around 11 days. Dang, sir, I don't believe you anymore. Oh, they are so heroic, these London bobbies. Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more. Oh, Rolly, my hero, you make me swoon. Very well, I hereby reject the defense's request. And order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events. Yes, sir. I'm waiting to find out a thing about Rolly. What are you waiting to... Oh, I'm curious what you're waiting to find out, Sarah. Because I'm wondering if it's like a hint to the case or if it's just something you're wondering. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garridib. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. Okay. It's far... Okay. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garridib house are top-hinged casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, he would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. I wanted bees in chat. Well, that is quite startling. Top hinged casement windows. That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. Yes, he can. He's overworked and underpaid. No, sir. Sorry, but what exactly is a top-hinged casement window? And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Of course, sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garridib's room. All right, I'll try. So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper ledge, you see. I'm glad you've rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay. A metal bar prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. It prevents it opening? This is all news to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or a knife were to have been thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below. No. You see the problem then? Good. Your education in windows is complete. There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered, something we've discounted already. That can't be. Okay, there was shattered glass in the room. I thought it was dishes. Could they have shattered it and then fixed it? Or am I thinking like way too hard about this? Did you see that, Rolly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, Rolly, you're so strong. How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination. My lord, oh good, another desperate situation. The shattered glass was on the opposite end of the room from the window. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was, but I just remembered there was shattered glass. So the case has, going over what he said again. The case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garridib. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. You see, the windows on the top floor of the Garridib house are top-hinged casements. If anything had been thrown out the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there. Yes, we know that. I didn't take my eye off of the crime scene for one moment. Are you sure? You're so tired. Are you sure you didn't, like, close your eyes for, like, a moment? I have to ask.
Hold it!
Nothing to report? That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. I can swear to that on the yard's honor, sir. Other than the 16 micronaps, I didn't see anything. Exactly. That's where my brain went. Hello, I need to finish an assignment by midnight, so if you see me chatting, tell me to go back to work. Okay, Ilya, I love you. Go back to work. I love you, though. Good luck on your assignment. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir. Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of The Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrett household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we could see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Hi, Fox. How are you? The victim wanted a banger story? Well, I mean, hey. I at least hope the story was indeed what the kids call bangin'. Well, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her back and how that book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them. I'm so sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. I had no right to speak out. What do you mean? I requested the cross-examination of Mrs. Garrett without consulting you, even if the judge did deny me. I see. Well, I agree with you. We do need a testimony from Mrs. Garrett. If we're ever going to get to the truth of this matter. Do you really think so? Well, think about it. No matter how far it is across the road or how that window opens, Mr. Garrett's book found its way to the scene of the crime somehow, didn't it? You're right. And then there was Mrs. Garrett's reaction to me showing her the knife. The woman's hiding something, I'm sure of it. You're right again. We need to use this cross-examination to uncover more clues. We'll get to the bottom of this one way or another, I swear. Yes. Man, that would be a real tragedy if the last book you read before you died was just not your cup of tea. That just becomes a whole tragedy in of itself. Alright, going back to that last statement, also I need a sip. Okay. I didn't take my eyes off of the scene for one moment. I don't... Maybe I'm supposed to press something else. Let me go back. Case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett, believe me. Why would you say that?
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain? A very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. It's what the job's all about. And that is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word. While rubbing my tired eyes admittedly. Sir, again, you're reminding us you're always tired. There's going to be a lapse in your attention span. Oh, Rolly, you're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia, especially because you claim you haven't slept in a month. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, so you could answer the question. That was a waste of time, then. Absolutely, sir. I will answer to the fullest of my abilities, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garridib's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you. I'll try. Please let him sleep. Hi, Herb. How are you? Okay, we've got the warrant card. I am going to look through that warrant card. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I meant to actually look through the warrant card, so that was my fault. Oh, they're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see? So they're restricted as to how much they open. And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where objects would have fallen. Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime on the other side of the rather wide road. Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinged casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garridib's house is furnished with? Well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday. Oh, what's going on with Patricia over there? I did see the new Lorcana cards. I'm torn because they literally just dropped the Floodborn packs and they're being picked up by scalpers everywhere right now. So it's like so freaking... I have yet to find a pack of the Floodborn cards. Like, I can pick up like the base cards in literally one place in my entire area. Our local game store completely sold out of them. Hot Topic overcharges for Lorcana. Don't ever buy anything from Hot Topic that's Lorcana because they overcharge. Unless it's like the only place you can get them, then, you know, you got it. Then unfortunately that's your only avenue. It upsets me though that I don't think everything is overcharged, but certain things are like I think a boost pack is overcharged. I'm torn because they should really just get through the Rise of Floodborn pack first, because there's so many people even commenting on that post that they can't even pick up any cards, and it's like really frustrating. Former Hot Topic employee Okami Hylia, don't ever buy... No, I don't mean don't ever buy anything from Hot Topic, but Lorcana, do the good old Google search first, because you might be paying more at Hot Topic when it comes to Lorcana. Like the portfolio JT got me, so I could start collecting the cards in. I think they were charging like $10 more on Hot Topic, and I was like, why? But no, I mean, I like them, but I kind of wish there was a little more breathing room between releases, because the scalpers are just unfortunately scooping them all up, and it's entirely frustrating. Also, the fact that I don't have money to pick up more cards, and I just want to pick up more cards. And I just need some Floodborn packs, because I need to get the Sisu card. If there's one thing I need on this planet is the Sisu card. Oh my god. You could look through it by checking the court record from here. Aha! Policeman was trying to preserve the peace. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Any crime that falls under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered, a policeman must assist with initial investigation. Okay. So, Patricia, what's going on here? Exactly.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mrs. Beat? Oh, sorry. You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Oh, I was just remembering. That's all. We really were so unlucky. Lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. It was so close, you see. Then on whose beat was it? I hadn't realized. Oh yes, that street, Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rolly's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love? Constable Beat. Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Garadip household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see, sir? I really was cutting it close then. Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garadip household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well? Outside Mr. Garadip's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on the side of the road is part of my beat. I see. Who put that there? Nightbot? I didn't do that. Why is that 69? I don't know. You tell me. Why is that there? I'm deleting that. Nightbot? I didn't do that. Did Rob like hack into Nightbot? I'm very concerned. Hold on. Commands. Commands. I hate this. I'm deleting the. It doesn't even show up. Oh, is it because of quotes? How do I get rid of a quote? I don't know how to get rid of quotes. Oh no. I can't do it. I love you, Tylenus. Thank you. Oh no, I guess we're stuck with it. Oh no. Okay, that's it. I am. That's it. That's it. I am banning. Quote, don't tell no one. I don't plan on telling anyone. I was unaware of that. Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby after all. Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working to the benefit of all Londoners. Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling? That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. I think perhaps we would make sure we have that information officially on record. Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately. There we go. The pavement lies just outside of the beat. The border runs down the middle of Briar Road. And now it's my turn, I think. Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir? Oh, yes, of course. What is it? You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell. What? I wasn't really, I mean, what's she doing? Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word. I accidentally said please. I'm so sorry. It was her eye. It made me. It made me slip into uwu for just a second. I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you. No excuses. I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you? Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. That was a very loud mutter. I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't. Duly noted, Mrs. Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to continue. What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though.
Hold it!
Mrs. Beat, nobody is questioning what you've told us. I saw it, I did. That evening I saw it clearly. That little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky. All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction? Oh yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. Oh. He gets ever so cross.
Excuse me.
Constable Beat, is there a problem? No, sir. No problem, sir. Did your wife's remark now just bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone a good 15. Oh, really? You're such a tease. But the reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly. The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about? Oh, it was a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly's so romantic. He saved up for it with farthings and pennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds. Yes, how romantic. I'd forgotten all about it until just now. Had you, my darling? Oh, yeah. But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise. Why? Really? Oh. What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange. I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. But I'm quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet. Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned, I'd like you to add details about it in your testimony, please. Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. What happened was, I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime? Yes, that's right. I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back, I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. It was at a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first. And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on? Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all. In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim is not deceased. I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road. Your husband, presumably? That's right, silly me. I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. Although I'm going to blame the bouquet this time, I can't think of how it got there. I really can't. So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Row to the opposite. Curious indeed. Isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose Rolly bought with me. But that change from the gutter he spent so long collecting. So is Rolly just a tuxedo mask? By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry solitary rose? He is tuxedo mask. Oh, yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Rolly bought me for our anniversary, with old bits of change he found in the gutter. Maybe just call it a rose? Tell us, Lord Van Zeeks, where did you come by this flower? According to the report by the officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garridip household. In front of the Garridip's house? Although it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case, since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Oh, thank you, sir, thank you! Could I have it back now, please? No, I think for good measure, this rose should be added to the court record as evidence. Oh. Okay, the show, okay. Hello, Rob, how are you doing? But it's a symbol of our love. We are not interrogating any children in this courtroom. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back. Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Mrs. Beat. I didn't take my eyes off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing to report. Hi. Excuse me. Excuse me. What do you mean she's taller than me? That hasn't been proven. Okay. Okay. I needed some water. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go through everything again. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you make of all this? Yeah, the whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling me all along, but I believe I'm starting to get a picture of what really happened here now. The fourth book that had no business being at the scene of the crime made me sure that Mrs. Garridip was hiding something from us, but it's becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us as well. I think I may already be armed with everything. Okay, I do have everything. Okay. This time, I'm going to expose the whole truth about this mysterious affair. Okay. Excuse me. Age has nothing to do with the height. Excuse me. Bite me. I don't know what to present here. going over everything again. Because I'm not sure. Oh, I can examine it. Okay, I don't really see anything odd about it, though. And then that was just that. Okay. Okay. This has nothing to do with Mr. Garrett. I believe me, London Bobby's as good as his word. You see, the windows on the top floor of the Garrett house are top-hinged casements. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go. Okay. What happened was I dropped the bouquet and ended up losing my way. I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for a moment. Nothing strange to report. Well, if you didn't take your eyes off of the scene, then how did the bouquet move like she said?
Objection.
You claim, Constable Beat, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene, but that cannot be. What? What do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection.
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meagre bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described, is it supposed to be meager? No doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Meager?
Objection.
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to that fact? No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garridib's book. Mr. Garridib's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out of the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here, on the west side of the street, and yet it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garridib's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Wittering on about books and bouquets. Why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is. Oh, good. Mrs. Garridib's come around. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garridib, but deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo. But the person responsible for tampering cannot admit to it, for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering. You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend. Who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Yes, there is someone who had tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence, all the testimony points to that one particular person. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime? Well, it's not it's not Maya. I mean, he was the only other person there because she went to go get help. So, by that logic, it had to have been Rolly, no? I don't know why it would be anyone else.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat. It was you. What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard? What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Mrs. Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it. You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
If that was true, Constable Beat could have seen him do it. Oh? And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well...
Objection!
First, you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with, but there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime: to hide something. That's right, he's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would he have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense. You offer no motive for this alleged tampering. And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair. Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery? Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out your reputation as a lawyer will be I'm going to save it right there. I would like not my reputation to be damaged, thank you.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse
Cardinal. Hi, Nacho. Denise Cardinal.
Judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal.
It's not Herlock Sholmes. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering. Nacho I saw that earlier in Discord. Yes, my lord. I saw that while I was working. It made me chuckle. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the book fell, where the bouquet fell, or where the victim fell. Not the book. Is it the bouquet or the victim? I'm thinking. Because then if the victim was murdered on the different side... Oh, wait a second. Because remember the boundary of his beat being in the middle of the road, so did he change it. Okay, wait a minute. Because then it's entirely going to matter in which side the victim fell, right? I think that's it. I don't know if I'm overthinking it or I am in the wrong... If I'm going in a completely different direction, but I think that's it. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What? Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe, but in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all. What? What? I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening? Okay, I gotta actually point it out. Someone tried to mansplain to you the topic you were presenting as the resident expert. Oh my gosh, please. Yeah, because clearly they're the expert. The collective, oh gosh. I'm so, Nacho, I'm sorry you had to deal with that today though. I've just come to say that I somehow messed up some of the survey data I was using, and so I've just been set back a full hour work. Ilya, no! I'm so sorry, hon. I really wish I could help somehow. That sucks. I'm so sorry. So, if it wasn't on that side of the road, then it's just gotta be the opposite road. That's all I can think of. Does it matter how far down the street?
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road. I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garretib's book fell directly down from the open window above. And your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right! I saw it with my own eyes! It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road. That's not true. It can't have been. Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print, the victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. But the constable overlooked one thing. What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume. Exactly. The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, it couldn't be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond? Constable Rolly Beat. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, Rolly. It isn't true, is it? What that lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out. Everything exposed. Only it seems it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly. Order! What on earth is the meaning of all this? Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim dead should be one too. Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town. I can't say, sir. What? I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation for why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman? And yet, Lord Van Zeeks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please. Yes, my lord. Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence. At once, my lord. England, Japan. It makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive? Silly question. Is it in here? Oh. I have a feeling it is the... I think it's the warrant card. I'm looking everything over to be sure. But I think it's the warrant card. Yeah. I'm going with it. I got that feeling in my gut.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I've only just arrived from Japan. Which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learnt that through honorable patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord. Oh, yes! It was our very first wedding anniversary. Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. When he and Mrs. B stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. Welcome back, Shad. Yet another Mario Party game by Bonus Star. Oh no! I'm so sorry, Shad. It's always either the dang bonus stars or freaking chance time. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind? We had a 2-star lead until those bonus stars. Oh no! That sounds so hecking close by the 2. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beat. Is that or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's all right. So, that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. It is what I was thinking. Oh! Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done? It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you'll have to go to the police box that covers it. Turn right along Mersham Street and then... I feel bad. I mean, the guy's overworked. He just wanted a night with his wife that he feels like he's neglecting, which, again, it's his job that's causing... I mean, he needs his job, obviously. His job is treating him unfairly. I do feel bad. Because it's like, can't I just have one night? I mean, it's not like, you know, obviously when somebody... I was going to say murdered, not murdered. She's not dead. But when I, you know... It's no... I feel bad. Your partner, it took... Oh no, what happened to Hito? We had a really bad first half of the game, though, so I think we did good. You were like 5 stars behind everyone for most of the first half. But it sounds like you guys caught up pretty quick. I was going to say, that's a good job. You and Hito did a good job. Oh my gosh. I feel bad. It could have been... I feel bad, but it's like, you have a priority to help this person. You do, unfortunately. I mean, not, you know, it's unfortunate that it happened to you, but it's also unfortunate for the person who was stabbed. You have to help them. But I know it should, if any other, I get it. But I feel like Patricia would have understood too, you know? I mean, she saw it. Oh my gosh, he's crying. I think you need a new job, bud. I don't think this job is doing either of you any favors if you can't find a new job. It's not good for your physical health, clearly, and it's putting a strain on your relationship. That's not fair. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted just that one night to take my Patricia out for dinner. I feel really bad. Who in Discord decided the new UI was okay? I know, right? Oh, Rolly. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction, just across the street, to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought, well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see? I beg your pardon? Oh, of course he did.
More passion, more passion.
These two do have a lot of passion, though.
More footwork, more footwork, more footwork, more passion, more energy.
Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement. I see your meaning now. But God got back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly. And can you tell us, Constable? How many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? Oh, 4 it was. Yes, definitely 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garrett household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. How you found it? What do you mean? When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. Oh, that updated. Okay. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jolt of difference. I suppose this is for me now. I've had it. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zeeks. I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw. Yes, sir. Mr. Prosecutor, sir. What will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him? For now, you are free to go home, The police will contact you in due course. Please don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. All right then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir? Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind. Oh my gosh. What did you think about Pat's bouquet? Oh, I thought it was really sweet. The fact that he was saving up just pennies to be able to get her something. That was just... And it's just funny because I feel like so many people would scoff at just a simple flower. And I'm like... And I know, like, Van Zeeks was like, oh, look at how meager, a single flower. How is this a bouquet? I'm like, dude, get a romantic backbone. It's the thought that counts. The victim was holding The Lion King on DVD. No, he was holding The Lion King 1.5, clearly. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. It was Kimba the White. I can't even find a copy of Jungle Emperor. Like, I have the movie on DVD, but I don't know where the heck you can find the series. Never again, sir. You mean to say? Leave now. This trial is not yet over. Sir. I like to imagine he was simply punished with a week-long suspension. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't think he's actually in any big trouble. This is on the force for overworking their bobbies like that. They're the ones wholly responsible. Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here, principally that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. Lord Van Zeeks, is this true? Very well. Name the person, if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. You will name this other person who could have perpetrate. I sounded like I was about to go into like Daffy Duck or something. Perpetrate. It was who I was suspecting before, that in a fit of rage was throwing the sharp objects around the room.
Take that!
The defense would again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again, my assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case, it's imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Miss Joan Garridib. Me? Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garridib, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garridib. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited, and to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the scene of the incident. Yes, and I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrideb. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? Oh. Susato Mayo Fe Mikoto, but no, that is not how this works. I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? That's alarming, because you're saying that you've done that a lot. And anyway, the man over there in all that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Yeah, I really think those two should get a divorce, and Mr. Garrideb deserves a wife that is not going to throw things at him. Even though it is really scummy, he made her pretend to be a maid, it is even more scummy that she is just physically threatening him by throwing things at him. That is not okay. Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4. Make no mistake. You jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? What's that? Well, you should just know off the bat not to throw a knife at somebody. What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Mrs. Garrideb. Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now, chop chop. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh! The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. Oh, wow. Thank you. I didn't think you would let us. I'm going to have to testify. Even he's probably pissed, like, why are you throwing things at him?
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse,
These Cardinal.
we now turn to the Oratrice
Let's
Mécanique
go, juror
d'Analyse
number
Cardinal.
4.
The judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal.
You're about to be tried for the Oratrice. As I'm sure you will appreciate having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed, truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh, dearie me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrideb, and mark my words, in this court of law today we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garridib, and I'm a juror and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh dearie me. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Dude, don't defend her. Don't she is physically abusing you. Don't. Wasn't blah 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 blah. I know you probably still have feelings for her, but oh my gosh, the way she's treating you. He's just here to play the piano for us. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? Hi, chicken! How are you? Beep boop. Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone. Oh, John. I presume you are Mr. John Garridib? Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment on the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action, and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on that day in question? Murdered some bad creatures in D&D? Ooh, congratulations! He's used to has a sense of loyalty. I know, and I'm not blaming him at all. I'm absolutely not, because I know in a situation like that, there's just so many things at play that I can't possibly understand, because I've never been, in a situation like that, at least with a romantic partner. But I just wish he wasn't defending her, because she doesn't deserve it. Ah, well, yes, quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. I know, and I hate it. Probably was, and that just really is so upsetting. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Aw, thank you! Sir, at once. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish, can't recall the reason now. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. Yeah, I know, Tylenos, and I'm glad they don't, I'm glad, one, that they don't, just, they don't make light of the things that happen, number one, and then number two, just, like, kind of like sweeping them under the rug that they weren't as big of a deal, but also, like, just pretending that they didn't happen, because things like that, we don't learn from them if we just pretend that they didn't happen, It's so unfortunate, though, and it's just, like, oh gosh, so many things during this case. I have so many different emotions. A baby wild doggo in Minecraft. Oh, a baby wild doggo. The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. I was gonna ask what a police box was, actually. I had no idea what those are. I'm like, is it just a phone to contact them? These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. It's filled with Time Lords. No, it isn't! That's just on TV. Van Zeeks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid so. Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination. Oh god, how old am I? God, that's me every day. Ow! Hi. Which cat is this? Luna? That was my foot, Mama. But do you want to come on? You're fine. I'm not upset. You want to come on my lap? Want to come say hi? If you're going to jump on my lap, I got to blow out the candle. Not knowing what a police box is. Me. Hi. Come here. They were boxes where criminals could be locked up temporarily and were equipped with phone lines to the local police precinct. Oh, okay. Hold on, I have a cat on my lap, so I gotta blow out my candle. I can't blow out my candle. You're fine, and she left. And she dropped things. Luna, you were fine. Oh, well, I still have a candle. I'm sad now. On the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a little bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. They are mainly known for Doctor Who. Well, that would explain then why I don't know. I sadly do not watch Doctor Who. I'm too intimidated to start it. Knocked a candlestick over, set fire. Soon had it out though and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. And I'm pressing you there, because again, did you pick up the knife?
Hold it!
Even though the room was on fire? As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall.
Ninth level.
It's gonna get to 9th level by the time she realizes. How do you ignore your house on fire? Don't worry, it's only a mere 900 episodes. Oh, oh gosh, I enjoyed it in the Tennant Smith days. I hear Tennant was really good as the Doctor. I enjoyed him in the DuckTales Woohoo remake. In all honesty, I don't recall, but I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel and a sponge, a napkin. Hi there.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garridib. No, don't shoot. Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was so much more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall. Ouch. And what would have happened if he were, like, stabbed with the fire poker? That would have gone clean through him. Good grief, woman! We're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened, Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand, as usual, at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see. Your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. Oh, you are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important, it's significant. The fact that you're asking me, I'm gonna say it's important. The defense believes Mr. Garridib's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Oh, well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Ma'am, you have trust issues. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Susato-san, we may have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garridib. Now, if we could return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if one or two went missing. I am not presenting, but I want to examine the pipe. Apart from the bandage. Oh, look at that. Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yeah, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. Surely it couldn't be. Hold on, I was standing inside the pipe. That's important. Trying to back out. There we go. Okay. I want to check. Does the jackknife... Can I open it? Is there a switch? I don't know how to open one of these. I can't find anything out of place. I want to examine the tip. Aha! There we go. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. Just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. Wait, part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. You remember this? That's the tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Garridib's pipe. Yes, and just maybe... Oh my! It's a perfect fit! Somehow I just knew it. Does that update anything? Out of curiosity? It didn't update anything. Guess I just need to present them somewhere? Plenty of knives around a place, can't say I've noticed, or one or two went missing. And then what's the next one? If that bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job of proving it. I can, because the fragment here.
Objection.
Mr. Garridib, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can't? Used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the day, in the regiment, of course. But that was some time ago now. But even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days, I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does, dearie me. It's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word. You must be very dizzy. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garridib's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? I know, he really needs a good pair of glasses. Hashtag not sponsored by Glasses USA. I am. What? Get him a pair of Hilary Duff shades. When put together, we'll just go to Claire's and get him some... We'll just go to Claire's and get him a pair of Moana glasses. When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. Actually get him, like, the Wind Waker glasses. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well, then. Present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of the metal? I got it right here.
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets, Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection.
No, it's not. No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garridib's pipe. Good grief, Lord Van Zeeks? No, we did not give the victim a tip. Please tip your driver? I mean, please tip your drivers. Please tip anybody who, especially in food service or like driving. Please tip them. Please tip them. It's a crime that they're paid so little because they're like, oh, tips are a thing. Please tip them well, thank you. This is especially with the holidays coming around. This has been Okami's TED Talk for the night. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh. No, do not tip your stabbing victims. You shouldn't have stabbing victims. Order. Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? So Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garridib's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. The crucial point? Because the tip is what you would call pointy. It's a little sharp. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garridib flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garridib, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord. Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garridib's pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1. And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Garridib's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh man, physics! They be wonky sometimes like that. Is she heating the kettle with anger? Well, that would explain how the tea's managed to remain hot this whole time and not cold. What do you have? A knife! A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. So who's on trial? Gravity? The person who discovered gravity? A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? But after all, it is just a theory.
Here's a TV that looks like an apple.
A Van Zeek's theory. Thanks for watching. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because, you see, it's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency. Alright, time to break out the Ouija board. It's time to summon Sir Isaac Newton's ghost. Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. Let's go, feet. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes, in her... That's right, you silly little man. Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back. Order! Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on top of her head. Well, he's lost for words, look. I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place. I don't know, though. What really did happen? It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend,
this isn't lactose.
It's milk. History.
You're a fucking idiot.
We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. Miss Susato, you mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there. It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. I could go for some strawberry. I could go for either strawberry or chocolate milk right now, but we have neither. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. I'm sorry, what is it? What was that about me standing on a box? Would you like me to bite you? It's a test. I will go for your ankles. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer.
Salami.
Goodness! Utter madness! Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. I would not need three. Oh, Rob is definitely getting bit in the ankles. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece of the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. What are you trying to say? That salami doesn't apply to the laws of gravity? The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged. Didn't Susato say it would be in the case file? If I remember correctly. Because then all I have is the young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound to the back. So did the payment officer B, victim remained unconscious. Her name was gleaned from a personal theft, apart from a single stab wound. The assailant was seen running away by reporting the officer. I don't see it in here. I thought it would be in there. So here we go. No. 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 I thought it would be that, but I don't see it. So probably not. I'm not going to present the knife again. So it's either 1, 2, or 3. It's gotta be. It's either one of these. What is the book going to tell me, though? I could only look at the I can look at the title. Let me see. It's a book entitled The Lion's Pride. I'm afraid I don't know any English literature at all, so it wouldn't be something I've heard. Wait a minute. The Lion's Pride? That's strange. I think I've heard of it. No, okay, we already know that. I don't know. Nothing else, right? Alright. It's gotta be the book, right? No? Because photos aren't gonna... Gotta be the book. Because it was the only other thing that got... It was the only other thing that was thrown out. I'm gonna guess it's the book. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna accept the hint, Tylenos.
Take that!
Am I right? This, the 4th book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence that the defense will... Okay, it's right. The burnt book? Is that not Mr. Garridib's book? Yes. And to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. But as we all now know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so. As part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable B made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. Thank ya. But what made you place that knife in the victim's hand? That's because that's how I found it. That was the only other piece of evidence. I thought it was going to be the case file because I thought that's what they were hinting at, but I'm like, nothing there made sense. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing doing much of anything. So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh, dearie me. I mean, I am also a Rapunzel fan. I mean, a hard same, though. Tangled is like a S-tier Disney movie. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garridib household onto the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, at exactly that moment, the young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. The book I threw. Yes, Mrs. Garridib. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement? I'd go, ooh, free book. Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up. Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. And it fell directly. Oh, crap. She picked up the book. Oh, heavens! And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been? See, I didn't know that's where this was going. I merely did process of elimination and got lucky. That's right, facing the sky completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife straight into the middle of her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Mrs. Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Well, I never. That's it, time to put the knife on trial. It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor, in the dark and the fog. He didn't see the knife falling on her from above. Take a look. It's in a book. And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. No. This was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Oh, damn. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garridib, the very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that. You could say it was a series of unfortunate events. Are you saying this is gonna be in a children's book series? There, old bean. Oh, Ilya, you did your best. I'm proud of you. For what it is worth, I am super proud of you. Poor Mrs. Garridib. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. John, dear. It's all right, I know. I'm ever so sorry. Truly. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. Let her go. I don't feel bad for her. Drop her.
A body has been discovered. After a certain amount of time,
that's like
which
a
you
trustful.
may use however you like, the class trial will begin.
Splayed legs. Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garridib? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern. I mean, yeah, okay, it was an accident. It's not like she premeditated murder. It's not like she planned this out. But she shouldn't have been throwing a knife, especially at a person. Just pay attention to your surroundings, woman. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. Exactly. Don't throw a knife. That is like literally the lesson of the day. Do not throw sharp objects. Be careful when handling them. And especially, do not toss them. They are not meant to be yeeted. Or yote, if you prefer. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. Oh, good! It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems. Exactly. She has when you have anger like that, I'm not like a therapist or anything, but like you need to have some kind of an outlet. So like a healthy outlet, I'm talking specifically to like, try to like decompress when you've reached that point. Like I said before, get a hobby. There's plenty of them. That is good news. So, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Yes? On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should beg your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. Cat videos are very good. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed, too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires, and for that, I am truly sorry. No, you want to know what she needs as an outlet for her anger? The Junji Ito coloring book. One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh! Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean whilst she's out of action, you know, but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? It's about time. I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? I'm surprised you even heard any of this. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Let's go! Very well. Mr. Soseki Natsume, I hereby pronounce you... What do you mean, donkey? You're not guilty, donkey. Bring in the dance. Bring in ye old dancing lobsters. And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord, sir. You are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. And meanwhile, nowadays, I can't afford a good lobster, but I'm always craving that hecking lobster dip. Oh, locum. Wait, you mean me? Of course! Is there another locum here? Is there even one? Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last I'm free! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Hearty, hearty, happiness! Hurrah! Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard to just say that then? Welcome, you did it. You saved me from the brink. Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault, after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. This guy's a full-blown... Ow! Ow. No, not that. Lovely, loyal, locum, lawyer. I mean, everyone here is an anime character. Yes? Someone send rats to Tylenos. Wait, it's not your birthday today, is it? Tylenos, are you messing with me? Is it your birthday? Oh, in the game! I was so confused. I'm like, I could have sworn your birthday was like in the beginning of the year, not the end, unless I was crazy. Oh my gosh, you nearly made my heart race. I mean, as I said before, I've just never got... take ya. I never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners, I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today, you locum lawyer, gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinking fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold, the best barrister
a body
ever
has been discovered.
born!"
After a certain amount of time, which you may use however you like, The class trial will begin.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course Tylenos was born in the 1800s. That's why Tylenos is always, like, saying old in all caps. Well, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. Tylenos is infinite beyond all wisdom and years. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. And an anecdote? Is that what's to become of all my hard work? There you are, my dear fellows. Oh! I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I am here not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh! The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very... Man, you missed a lot. You were asleep for how long exactly? It's just finished. What? No! Then my haste was in vain. Found us not guilty. Sherlock bit the dust. It's you! Herlock Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Ugh. Had she been taken to the hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have gained consciousness by now. Oh, but it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless. Oh, I am sorry. Really, but... that was quite priceless. Poor Soseki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were even found not guilty. Yeah, could you imagine if he had been found guilty? I don't call that having a good time, the amount of anxiety this poor man must have had. But there's no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper. Lord Van Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It'll all be alright. It'll all be alright, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Hi! Wait, I'm not the Reaper! With a perfectly executed Susato takedown. Much as I like being turned on my head.
A body has been discovered. After a certain amount of time, which you may use however you like, the class trial will begin.
A bit of a warning might be nice next time, Miss Susato. I mean, to be fair, yeah, he should have been sent back to Japan if found guilty, but I don't know. That's real. I don't know if how diplomatic immunity worked back then. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? Now he has a coupon for a free visit to Queen Victoria. That is not worth the coupon. You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. At least give the man some hot cash. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. Oh, right, she did have diplomatic immunity. I forgot she had that. It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realize that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all. The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. I see. A work of literature by Soseki-san could be an interesting read. And what about Miss Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? What about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustache compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we have finally found our feet. And you have accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right. But we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. The windowless room? But what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with a floor, a ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes, it tries to suffocate you while you sleep.
I am the Backstreet!
It's an infallible wake-up call. Well, think about it, if that's alright. I don't think the box ghost can be counted as an evil spirit. They didn't say for sure if he had it, but it is a thing in the game. I don't know, would a university professor have a diplomatic immunity? I don't know how that works. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself, though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to taking lodgings in the great detective's office attic. I'm too overcome for words. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then? Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you, and yes. Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. I shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Locum, I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you, too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But welcome. We'll meet again one day. I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. Oh, hey, look, it's the Persona 5 attic. So this is to be our new office, yes. Our office? I rather like this. Sorry, things fell. I kind of got scared. I rather like the sound of that. Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it? I hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step, but I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh my gosh, the hat comes off? Mr. Sholmes, yes, thank you so much. It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate. Iris, you must let me help you. All right then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad. Splendid. So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London. Yes, there's no place like London. Mr. Todd, you are young. Okay, I'm gonna... You will learn. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. We did it! Case 4 accomplished! We are going to save. And that... I know it's early, technically. I know it's only 11:30. But this is where we shall call it for tonight. I almost went back to episode 1. Because I don't think there's really... if we only do 30 minutes in case 5, that's really weird. I do not believe you. I absolutely do not believe you. I'm calling you out. I mean, we're 3.5 hours uptime, but I still feel bad ending before midnight, but it's gonna feel really awkward to start it, I feel like. I'm not. What do you want me to do? Speed read? Like animal, like just read the dialogue as KK Slider, like blah, 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 blah. Like, not, I can't do that. Oh my goodness, but I hope you guys enjoyed the ending of Case 4. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. I know it was a little impromptu Ace Attorney night, but I was in the mood to finish up Case 4 at the very least this week. So no stream tomorrow because it is the Game Awards. I shall be watching alongside everybody. I might be back on Friday. We'll try to see if we could do a Friday stream then, which would be either probably Genshin or finish New Violette's story, or we could finish up Hatufu Boyfriend Holiday Star if nothing comes up on my end, if it's not super busy. Otherwise, I will be back next week. Or I could try always, it's gonna be, I will probably be here Friday. I don't think I'm gonna be busy Friday. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the Ace Attorney stream. Only one more case to go as far as I'm aware in this game. Oh, well, I guess I'm not ending yet. I guess I've got to... Shad, it's fine. Snoo doesn't take that long. It only takes long when I'm, like, planning out my moves way too carefully. Ow! Really? I'm playing the dang game. You gonna throw them at me now? I'm gonna do something. I did something crazy. But yeah, that's where I'm thinking my plan is for this week. Otherwise, I'm really excited for the awards show tomorrow. I voted for Baldur's Gate admittedly, even though I haven't played it, but I've seen so much gameplay already. But if Tears wins, I am also going to be extremely happy because my beloved Zelda. But otherwise, I'm really excited. I can't wait for Silk Song and Deltarune to get Shadow dropped. Oh my gosh, that would be so funny if that actually, it's not gonna happen, but I would be wheezing. I will be screaming in Discord if that actually happened. Ah, there we go. We're not doing too bad. How am I suddenly really good at Snood? I'm only half paying attention, admittedly. I'm thinking about what they're gonna announce tomorrow. Look at that. I know, I'm such an expert, obviously. I am exploding this whole board, and now I'm failing because I'm thinking about it. I'm really trying. I'm thinking about, you want to know what it is? I'm thinking about that Silk Song, baby! I didn't even finish Hollow Knight. I got to the very end. And I forgot I started playing something else. I'm so terrible. And now if I try to pick up Hollow Knight again, I'm gonna forget everything. I'm gonna have to restart from, like, the very beginning. And I loved Hollow Knight. Like, I want more Hollow Knight lore. It's so good. Heck. It did. It did. That's why I kind of have some hopes eventually, soon-ish, we'll hear something. I mean, I know you can only say that so many times until it actually does happen, but... Alright, I gotta be really careful now. I gotta start planning these moves. Heck. I gotta start planning these moves accordingly, or I'm gonna be in trouble. Heck, they are not giving me the pieces that I need. Come on, I got this. I was doing so good. I was doing so good. Heck. Darn. I've been too busy writing. Well, Tylenos, I, for one, am really excited for the next chapter of your story. I am super excited to see more Monica and Makoto flirting. And then you have to work around Persona 5 Tactica. I feel so bad. I messed up. I had a plan and I messed it up. I'm still really hecking impressed with my moves earlier. Nope, I'm still alive. Don't ask me how, but I'm still alive. Barely. My Switch is going to sleep. My Switch is like, hey, you gonna be done playing Snood? Can I go to bed? Meanwhile, I'm like, no, I'm not done. I'm gonna be doing some Dreamlight Valley probably after this. Working on my star path, getting my winter items. Huge success. Heck. Yeah, I messed around too much. I almost had it. I think Shad will still get a high score on the board, though. I'm pretty sure that was close. Shad still got on the board at number 9. Alrighty, guys. Oh my gosh. We almost had it. It was so close. We almost had it. Ow! Oh, hon! That was so mean. Apologize. Get in here, you coward. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Ow. Ow! Stop! I can't even... Nacho! Don't bully me. JT isn't allowed to bully me. JT's a coward and won't come in here. Throwing things at her just like Mrs. Karen did. Okay, I accept the head pats. Thank you. The head pat doesn't make up for the fact you threw things at me, JT. Ow! Only Sarah loves me. Anyway, oh my gosh. Anyways, we're gonna go rate somebody. I'm sure there's plenty of friends that are still live right now. But you guys enjoy the Game Awards tomorrow for those of us who are watching. And hopefully I'll see you guys Friday. I'll keep you updated. Chicken! Thank you for the head pats. But here are the socials for you guys. For anybody who would like them. You never have to, but they are there if you would like. And I'm completely forgetting where the one is. Let me go see. Oh, who's currently live right now? As soon as I plug that in. Okie dokie. Back to Twitch. I can't see. Back to Twitch. There we go. I have a lot of friends who are live right now. Oh my goodness gracious. Am I gonna have to, oh my goodness. Am I gonna have to, get up a poll going or something? Unless anyone has a suggestion, otherwise, you know what, I know Shad was playing Mario Party earlier on Hito's team. If we want to go say hello to Hito for a raid and some Mario Party. There's going to be our the Baba raid a massage. We'll go hang out and see what's going on in Mario Party shenanigan land, and also because Hito is a bean. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I hope it was fun, of course. I know Hito is great. Be sure you're following Hito, guys. And otherwise, I will hecking see you guys Friday, yeah. Have fun tomorrow watching the awards. I hope you get a good night's sleep and you have sweet dreams, and make sure you are staying hydrated. And thank you guys just so much for hanging out. I really appreciate you being here tonight all the time. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. You guys are awesome sauce. All the awesome sauce. All over my toast. Is that a good analogy? I don't know. Or an anecdote, as it were. But you guys take care of yourselves. And I will see you super soon. And can't wait to start case 5. I'm really excited. I think it's the final case of this game. I'm super excited. Then move on to the next Great Ace Attorney. It's gonna be a good time. Stay away from sharp objects, as we have learned, and I will see you guys very soon. Have a good night, guys. I love you all. Bye-bye.